Hello and welcome to this video of my favorite starting mods, particularly when I have very little money. We start with the trailer, the Durante R200A. Very versatile, has lots of different options, can cover just about any trailer operation on your farm, and we'll go through them in a little bit more detail once we've just gone through this little purchase menu. So as you can see, I've just flipped through the different options. So you can have a bale trailer, you can have a forestry trailer, you can have just a normal grain carting trailer, whatever we want to call it, and all in about 23,000. Right, so let's just get it down. This is in its four-sided format. I'll just go into the workshop and we'll show you a couple of the options. So as I said, this is its four-sided format. We can then change that to three sides. This is quite useful if you've got a small harvester that is a very low auger pipe, and that helps with being able to get the grain into the trailer. It is quite high-sided, so you do need quite a high auger pipe to get it into the full format. In its full configuration, four-sided configuration, it'll take up to 45,000 litres. Right, so that's the first one. I very seldom use that, to be honest. Let's get the next one in and do some changes on this one. Take it into the workshop, and of course these can all be done in the workshop. In this case we'll do without sides. I've not really used this because I don't really see the reason for it. You can just use the four sides and it gives you the same options, but in any case it is an option. You can have solid sides, and of course you can still reconfigure that when you go into the workshops. Just go past there. Right, now we will do the without sides, which basically makes it a wood transporter. So that's to be utilized with forestry. Very useful when you're first starting out and you've got trees to clear and you don't really want to invest hugely in forestry equipment. And then lastly, we can convert it into a bale trailer. So this has three different configurations. It can be a bale trailer, can be a trailer for carrying big bags, and can be a trailer for carrying IBCs as well. Very useful, fantastic mod, and it's always one of my first purchases when I get into a new game, simply because it can do so much. Right, just run past the normal one again and we'll just go through them. Fantastic mod. Can't do without this one in any format that I start playing. Right, the next one is the fenceless husbandries. I like this because number one, gives you the impression of free range farming, but more importantly, in this format, the very plain format, very cheap to get started. So you can remove the grid squares just by going to the grid and clicking on the B, and then of course you have all your other normal animal triggers, so triggers for the animals, for purchasing the animals. Let's purchase a couple, put a couple in there, and then we'll run through the others. So you get these for all the animal types, and once we've just gone through this, bought a couple, I'll just show you some of the others. I won't go through all of them. So each different husbandry has a selection of different sizes for different amounts of fields that you can buy. Of course, with this one, where it's doesn't have a shed, you have to put water in. With the others, if there is a shed, you don't have to put water in as per normal. You can collect milk from this, even though it doesn't have a shed. So this is the horses, a couple of palominos just strutting around. You can also have pigs. So this is with a shed, so in this case you wouldn't need to put in water, and you would need to put water with the sheep as well. Fantastic. I just put some roosters just for colour in the chicken one, and fabulous mod. Right, so now we go on to the lizard plough, 6-meter plough. I like this because it's very easy. You can create fields with it. You can make some nice straight lines. It's reasonably cheap. Well, it is. It's very cheap. It's only 8,000. So, and we'll just do a couple of strips just to show you how it works. Very, very straightforward, and one of the first implements I buy on the farm, particularly if I'm intending to create lots of fields. I suppose technically it is a subsoiler and not a plough, but it can create fields and is sold under the plough, so I use it as a plough and does all the ploughing, meets all the ploughing requirements of the game. So pretty good speed, works at, I think the official working speed is 12, we're doing 11 at the moment, and creates a field without any problems. Fairly straight line. And one of my favorite mods to start with. Right, so next up we come to the Lizard Farmhouse pack, which we'll show you in a minute or so. Right, let's see if we can set up some of the farmers pack, which you can find in buildings and farmhouses. So it's a pack of 4 very, very cheap sleep triggers basically. One is a very, very small, tiny little farmhouse, and we'll place it here and we'll have a quick look at it in a little while. It's the only one you can actually go inside, so we'll just have a quick squiz inside it when it's done. Right, and the next one is a tent. So if you're wanting to start with just a tent, maybe a survival mode or something like that, fantastic as well. Very, very cheap. This is the big draw of this mod. Right, and then there's just a bench if you want to put it outside an existing building to create a sleep trigger, and that's also very, very cheap. And then finally it's just a doormat, once again if you want to create a sleeping trigger outside a existing building when you're starting out. Yeah, very, very nice and easy if you just want to place a sleep trigger without having to spend a lot of money putting up one of the fancy farmhouses. Fantastic mod. Let's just pop into the little house quickly. It is very compact. Right. Basically it's one room and a loo. It's just inside that, behind that door there. Always got to check out the loo. Sleep triggers in the corner here. Pick up the sleep trigger there. You can also pick up the sleep trigger right outside, so you don't have to come in every time if you want to just stop outside. If you go just in front of that bench, I think the bench is actually the sleep trigger, so you can pick up the sleep trigger there as well. Right, let's have a quick look at the tent. So you can't go into the tent. There it is there. Of course, each of them has their wardrobe as well. And the sleep trigger is just outside the tent. Nice and easy. Very nice for survival modes if you're camping out and starting a new game. Likewise the bench. This is quite nice if you have buildings that you want to use and just place a sleep trigger outside. And the same goes for the mat. Also one of my must starts. Right, the next mod is the Robert DBS 960, which is basically a grass rake. So very, very good for looking after your grass fields after you've cut them. Gives you that extra 2% on productivity for the next time round. Very, very easy to use, very reasonable to buy. There are 3 different versions, but I don't really see the necessity to buy the more expensive ones. This one seems to work just as well. Got a nice working width, because it's always one of those tasks where you don't really want to do it, but you always think to yourself, it's 2%, it's 2% extra. More grass, or more silage that can be made, or more hay that can be made. Works at a nice, decent speed. But it's the width that I really, really like for the price. Some of the other grass care implements are very, very expensive, although much bigger width. But if you're starting out with very little money, this is the one to go for. Gives a nice finish as well. And that's that one. Works quite nicely. Right, so those are the 5 mods that I like to use, as I said, particularly when I'm starting out. And then this one is my must-have, the absolute favorite mod when starting with very little money, and even when not starting with very little money. And you've seen it throughout the whole episode. It's a K7200 series. Good ratio between price paid and horsepower. That's what I like on this one. I like to go for the 249 horsepower one. Seems to be able to do pretty much everything. You can go slightly higher. I think you can go up to 261 horsepower, and then you can do a lot of different modifications to it. So you can have a front end loader on it. Pretty much a whole lot of different options. We'll go through some of them now, just to show you. But it's an old-fashioned looking tractor, I know, but it works really, really well. Right, so what are we going to change first? There we go. Let's put front detacher on it. So you've got that option. That option you have to change between that and the front end loader. Right, always put some beacons on the engines, so we've got lots of different options on the engines. So I normally go to the Magnum 7250. gives us 249 horsepower. You can change the color, license plates can all be done. I normally go for white tires with weights. Those are just my preferences. This is just to show you that there are lots of different options. And it comes out at a very good price for the spec of tractor. As I've said, you've seen this working quite a bit throughout the series. In any case, that's that. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and cheerio.